We welcome now Carrier CEO. He is David Gitlin. So thank you so much for being with us. As I say, it disappointed the street a little bit. You're down a little bit over 5%. Were you disappointed?
Not at all, David. We did exactly what we said we were going to do. In fact, if you look at our guidance that we gave even in the fourth quarter, we beat sales and cash by about 100 million. We did exactly what we said we were going to do on the earnings side. What we were very clear about is that we were going to use the fourth quarter to play offense. We said that we would have 100 million additional investments last year. 75 of that came in the fourth quarter. Half of our CapEx for the entire year came in the fourth quarter. What we were really doing was consciously positioning ourselves for growth in 2021 and beyond. So you look at our 21 guidance, we've guided top line up 6 to 8%, including some benefit from FX. EPS growth 14% at the midpoint, 1.6 billion of cash. So very pleased with last year and very, very bullish on how we're positioned for this year.
So give us a sense of where that growth is going to come from. You said 6 to 8%, something like that top line. Where's that going to come from? How much of it is HVAC? How much of it is residential? Where do you expect it to come?
We really look at 2021 as a tale of two halves. We're very well positioned with our backlog for the first half. So you look at our residential HVAC business, for example, we had the third quarter was up almost 50%, fourth quarter up 25%, and our backlog coming into this year was up 3x over it was at the same time last year. So coming in with very strong backlog on the resi side, we're looking at very strong growth on the aftermarket for our commercial HVAC side. We're going to see a rebound in fire and security, see growth there. And the refrigeration business, a little bit of benefit, of course, from the COVID vaccine distribution, but it's a very cyclical business. North American truck trailer should be up about 40% this year over last. We're seeing great growth in China, so it's pretty widespread. The second half, so backlog in the first half, the second half is we're banking on a release of some of that pent-up demand in some of our businesses that were hit hard by things like retail and hospitality.
Well, let me focus on that specifically here at the end of your answer there. Small businesses. We've been talking about small businesses right across the country. We're talking about right now with the stimulus that's being proposed in Congress. How much is that hitting your business? Because you must have a fair number of small businesses who are your customers.
Absolutely. They've been hit very, very hard. Let me give you an example. You take our security business. We have a business called Lenel S2. Our Lenel business has been doing quite well for some of our larger customers. The S2 piece of that is much more heavily weighted towards small and medium businesses. S2 has been down significantly. Lenel has been doing quite well. So the SMB business hit very hard, and across the spectrum, not only in the United States, but globally, they're going to need government support to get back on their feet. Restaurants, you're going to see it very acutely there. They need the support. You see it in some of the local retail. Those businesses are very much in need of support. But I do believe with government support, vaccine distribution, second half is poised up for some rebound in those hard-hit businesses.
Are you concerned that some of your base of small business would just go away and not come back?
There will be. But, at the end of the day, you take our light commercial business for HVAC. A lot of those businesses that are tied to retail and some other things, those businesses will be replaced by other businesses who will continue to operate the HVAC system and others. So you see that with that business, 80% of our business is based on replacement as opposed to new construction. So those, as customers start to come back, and it may be new customers coming into existing infrastructure, we will start to see those overall businesses for us pick up.
So we've talked about small businesses and coming back in the second half, we all hope. What about other ways in which there may be a snapback? Because there's an anticipation that actually the vaccines will get here, we will get into people's arms, and the second half may look very different for the economy. Even some concern we may come back too fast, too hard. How will you at Carrier see that pent-up demand, as it were? There's a lot of money, as you know, just in savings accounts right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we look at it. I think what's happening across the board is customers are all seeing this pent-up demand and snapback in the second half. So they're placing orders now to make sure that if there's any issues in the supply chain, they have their orders in to protect them for the growth we're going to see. So we saw really strong orders in the fourth quarter. Orders were up 15% across our businesses. Our refrigeration business, for example, orders were up 40%. So we're seeing strong orders. Orders in January were superb. So we're seeing everyone anticipating this overall macroeconomic recovery as we get into the second half. And what's nice to see is it's more broad-based now than it was just a few months ago. Southeast Asia is starting to show recovery. Orders in Europe up 5% in the fourth quarter. So you're starting to get a sense that customers are placing long lead time orders now in anticipation of that second half recovery.
What about China? I know that you've been active in China for a good long time. What is China looking like to you?
We're very bullish on China. I mean, I think GDP forecasts are 7% this year. I think it could be closer to 9%. We've seen outsized growth in China across the board. There's still pockets that are impacted by COVID, up in the northern area, up by Harbin and the Russian border, maybe over in the northeast, over by North Korea, outside of Beijing. But holistically, China's generally open, very strong. And you look at a business like refrigeration for us. If you look at the United States, more than 90% of the meat is distributed in a refrigerated fashion. It's 40% in China. So you look at the amount of smoke detectors, the business in China is a fraction of what it is in the United States. So China's at the cusp of tremendous growth. So as we start to think more about M&A, as we get ready for bolt-on M&A in 2021 and beyond, China is clearly going to be a focus area for us.
We have a lot of work to do to get past this pandemic, but we all believe we will get past it at some point. If you go out 2, 3, 4 years, will this pandemic have made fundamental changes in your business? For example, I'll give an example, air circulation, which is much more of a priority now than it was before. Will some of that stay even after the pandemic goes away?
100%, David. What COVID has done is shined a light on the criticality of indoor air quality. You think about it, you would never eat dirty food or drink dirty water because you can see it. The problem with indoor air quality is you can't see whether or not it's dirty or not. And in fact, we all consume into our lungs about 2,000 gallons of air a day. That's enough to fill a swimming pool. So what's happened now with COVID is what we want to do is give customers visibility into the safety of indoor air quality. So you can see, are the CO2 levels, the VOCs, dirt, pollen, particulate matter, what are those levels? So we're going to be coming out with a new digital product at the beginning of the second quarter that we're calling Abound. It's going to do two things. It's going to give customers visibility into the safety of the indoor air quality, just like a doctor would look at vitals for a patient. A building owner can look at the vitals of the indoor air quality. So first, it gives you visibility. And second is it auto mitigates any deficiencies that you have in the indoor air quality. So this is a trend that's going to be here to stay, and it's actually going to be now accentuated.
So finally, you talked about 6 to 8% growth, which, as I understood it, was organic. Let's talk about inorganic. You had quite a year last year. You now are in a position to really focus on your core business. Are you looking for acquisitions?
We are, and just to clarify, we're actually getting a couple of point improvement from FX. So organic, our sales should be up about 5%. Still very strong mid-single digit growth, and that's what we've committed to long term is consistent mid-single digit growth. So very bullish on that. When you look inorganic, now that we've cleaned up the balance sheet, when we spun from UTC, we had $10 billion of net debt. We ended last year with $7 billion. We should be by $6 billion by the end of this year. We're sitting on more than $3 billion of cash. We project strong cash flow of more than about $1.6 billion this year. So we're poised for bolt-on M&A, and we'll keep our acquisitions in the fairway. We have these two ecosystems we're focused on: healthy building, cold chain distribution, and we know exactly where we want to focus. We're building our pipeline, and you should see more M&A from us this year.